Dreams in my head, a circuit board for a bed. I slept beneath the server hum. Your last words caught behind my teeth.
Both of those examples were created using Suno. One was made by giving the platform a basic idea, allowing the AI to write the lyrics, and using a few broad-style instructions. The other was developed using original human-written lyrics, a custom music style, a deliberately designed vocal identity, and detailed musical and performance direction. The platform was the same. The difference was the amount of human authorship, intention, and creative control behind the result. HOV Studios was created to develop original human-written lyrics, songs, ideas, and creative projects using modern production tools, including artificial intelligence. The central artist project created through this process is Damon Vale, a dark alternative rock artist built around my original lyrics, my production direction, my vocal design, and the creative decisions I make throughout the development of each song. In this video, I'm going to show you how I created both examples, why they sound different, and how I use Suno as part of the production process at HOV Studios. This is not intended to be an exhaustive Suno tutorial. What I'm going to show is the difference between asking AI to make most of the creative decisions for you and using AI to carry out decisions you've already made as the writer and creative producer. I'll create the same short song in two different ways. The first version will use an approach that many people take when they initially begin using Suno. I'll give it a song idea, allow it to generate the lyrics, add a few common style descriptions, and then press create. For the second version, I'll use the process I've developed through HOV Studios. I'll write the lyrics myself, create the musical direction, design the vocalist, add section-specific instructions, and use what I call the HOV Studios 80-20 method inside the Suno lyric box. Then we'll listen to both results and compare them properly. For the first version, I'm going to give Suno a relatively simple instruction. I'll describe the subject of the song, ask it to generate the lyrics, and provide a few broad musical terms, something like dark alternative rock, emotional male vocals, distorted guitars, and a dramatic chorus. These descriptions aren't necessarily wrong. The problem is that they're extremely broad. Dark alternative rock can mean hundreds of different things. Emotional male vocals don't tell us who the vocalist is. Distorted guitars don't explain how those guitars should behave. A dramatic chorus doesn't explain what kind of drama the song requires or why the chorus should feel different from the verse. But this is a realistic example of how many people initially use the platform. They give Suno a basic direction and allow it to decide almost everything else. For the lyrics, I'm going to allow Suno to generate them from the song concept. At this stage, the platform is responsible for the language, the imagery, the rhyme, the structure, and the emotional meaning of the song. I may have supplied the broad subject, but I haven't written the song. I'll now add the broad musical direction. There's no detailed voice design. There are no section-specific performance instructions. There are no arrangement cues inside the lyric box. I'm simply giving Suno a general destination and allowing it to choose the route. Suno may produce something immediately listenable from this. That's one of the impressive things about the technology. But immediate listenability and distinct artistic identity aren't the same thing. Broad input usually produces broad output.
Dreams in my head, a circuit board for a bed.
That's the first version. The argument isn't that Suno cannot create appealing music from a simple prompt. It clearly can. The issue is where the creative responsibility sits. In this version, the platform's decided most of the important details. It's written the language, selected the imagery, designed the singer, made the arrangement decisions, and interpreted the emotional meaning of the subject. The result may be functional, but very little of its identity belongs specifically to me. It sounds like a song. The more important question is whether it sounds like my song. I'm now going to take the same basic concept and rebuild it using the HOV Studios process. This is where the AI stops being responsible for the central creative decisions and becomes the production tool carrying them out. My process normally begins outside Suno. I begin with the lyric. The lyric determines what the song is actually saying, who's speaking, what the listener sees, and why the emotion feels specific rather than generic. Instead of simply telling the listener that the character feels lonely or misses someone, I can reveal that absence through physical details: the untouched cup, a key that was left behind, a chair that hasn't been moved, the low sound of the television filling a room where nobody's speaking. These details allow the listener to experience the emotional situation rather than merely being informed that it exists. The verse establishes the scene. The pre-chorus increases the emotional pressure. The chorus delivers the central statement or emotional consequence. Those sections shouldn't simply be different groups of lines. Each one has a particular purpose. When I write the lyric, I control the point of view, the imagery, the internal rhythm, the line length, the rhyme, the progression of thought, and the emotional escalation. For example, a generic lyric might say, "I miss you since you went away." There's nothing technically incorrect about that line, but it could belong to almost anyone. A more specific line might refer to the mark left by a cup, an unused key, or a light still being left on out of habit. Those images give the absence a physical presence inside the room. That's where human writing becomes important. Now, I'm not saying you should write your lyrics like this. This is just my style of writing, and you should either find your own style or use what you're already comfortable with. The goal isn't to communicate the subject. The goal is to find the exact language through which this particular song needs to communicate it. Suno can perform a line, but I need to decide why that line belongs in the song. Once the lyric is complete, I write the musical direction. This is different from selecting a handful of genre labels. Dark alternative rock tells Suno the neighborhood. It doesn't tell Suno which house we're entering. The music style prompt needs to behave more like a production brief. I think about the core genre, the pace, the instrumentation, the guitar character, the behavior of the bass, the drum sound, the dynamics, the atmosphere, the production texture, and the way the song should develop from one section to another. For this song, I may want the verse to remain restrained and intimate. The guitar could be sparse rather than immediately distorted. The bass might carry more of the tension. The drums might begin dry and controlled. The pre-chorus could gradually increase the pressure. The chorus could then become wider and heavier without turning into metal or losing the clarity of the lyric. That's far more useful than simply writing dark alternative rock, sad, dramatic. A genre label identifies a category. A production brief begins to identify the actual song. I can also include exclusions, but I add these in the exclude section inside of Suno, not in the production brief. Sometimes exclusions are just as important because it tells Suno what I don't want. I may want to avoid polished pop phrasing, theatrical gothic cliches, excessive vocal runs, metal screaming, blues rock guitar behavior, or an arrangement that becomes too cinematic. Those boundaries help narrow the creative territory. I'm still allowing the system to generate, but I'm reducing the amount of guessing it has to do. The vocalist also needs more direction than emotional male singer. I don't simply request a singer. I design the performer. When I build a vocal identity, I consider the approximate range, the tone, the texture, the perceived age and weight of the voice, the diction, the level of vibrato, the emotional restraint, and the difference between how the vocalist behaves in the verse and how he or she behaves in the chorus. For this example, I may want a low male baritone with a worn but controlled texture. The verse delivery may be close, conversational, and emotionally restrained. The pre-chorus may begin to tighten and show more strain. The chorus may become wider and rougher without becoming theatrical or exaggerated. I may want clear diction because the lyric matters. I may want limited vibrato because too much polish would weaken the emotional character, or imperfections in the voice because the performer should sound human and affected by what he's singing. This isn't about cloning a real person's voice. It's about developing a consistent fictional performer with recognizable vocal characteristics. That's part of how my creation, Damon Vale, maintains an identity from one song to another. The vocalist isn't treated as a random setting, it's treated as part of the artist. The next stage is one of the most important parts of my process. Suno allows up to 5,000 characters in the lyric box, including spaces. Many users think of this area purely as a place to paste lyrics. I treat it as both a lyric document and a performance document. My working approach is what I call the HOV Studios 80-20 method. Approximately 80% of the available space is reserved for the actual song lyric. The remaining 20% is used for music, arrangement, and vocal direction. It's not a rigid mathematical law. Some songs require more instruction, some songs require less. The purpose of the method is to protect enough space for the lyric, while also giving Suno sufficient information about how the lyric should be performed. If I use the entire 5,000 characters for words alone, I leave the system to guess what should happen around those words. It may recognize a verse label or a chorus label, but knowing where the chorus begins isn't the same as understanding what the chorus is meant to do. The additional 20% can contain instructions about vocal delivery, instrumentation, intensity, rhythm, harmonies, pauses, breakdowns, and transitions. For example, above the verse, I might include a cue such as restrained baritone, sparse guitar, close drive vocal. Above the pre-chorus, drums begin to rise, bass becomes more active, vocal tension increases. Above the chorus, wider guitars, rougher vocal delivery, subtle backing harmony on the final line. These cues don't replace the music style prompt. They provide local direction at the point where the change needs to happen. The music style prompt describes the overall production. The lyric box cues direct the individual performance. This is the main advantage of the 80-20 method. It allows me to use Suno's lyric box as more than a storage area for words. It becomes a map of the song. It helps communicate not only what the vocalist should sing, but how the song should move. Without those cues, Suno may create a perfectly competent transition, but it's making that transition according to its own interpretation. With the cues, I can tell it what kind of movement the lyric requires. A section label tells Suno where it is. A section cue tells Suno what should happen there. Every section of the song has a different job. The verse needs to establish the scene and give the listener access to the lyric. That often means holding the arrangement back. If the instruments are already at full intensity in the opening line, there's nowhere meaningful for the song to go. The pre-chorus should create pressure. It might tighten the rhythm, introduce a new instrument, raise the vocal tension, or change the harmonic movement. But it should avoid releasing the full emotional weight too soon. The chorus is where the central idea expands. That doesn't always mean becoming louder. It may mean becoming wider, more exposed, more melodic, more rhythmically direct, or emotionally less restrained. For this song, I want the chorus to feel earned by what happens in the verse and pre-chorus. The music should support the lyric, rather than merely announcing that a chorus has arrived. For the verse, I'll direct the vocal to remain close and controlled. The instrumentation will be sparse enough for the words to stay clear. For the pre-chorus, I'll increase the tension without fully releasing it. The drums may begin to tighten, and the vocalist may sound as though he is struggling to remain composed. For the chorus, I'll allow the guitars and vocal to become wider and rougher. But the performance still needs to belong to the same person. It shouldn't suddenly sound as though an entirely different vocalist has entered the room. I now have the original lyric, the music style prompt, the vocal identity, and the section cues. At this point, Suno will still make musical decisions. That's unavoidable and is part of working with a generative production tool. The difference is that it's now making those decisions inside a much narrower creative framework. I also do not automatically accept the first result because it exists. Generation isn't the end of the process. Selection is part of authorship. I may generate several versions. I listen for the interpretation of the lyric, the consistency of the voice, the movement between sections, the melody, the pronunciation, the instrumental character, and whether the emotional direction has been understood. Some versions will be rejected. Some may contain one excellent element but fail elsewhere. Some may drift away from the vocal identity. Some may interpret a cue in an unexpected way. The ability to generate multiple results doesn't remove the need for judgment. It increases it. the creator still needs to decide which result serves the song and which result does not. AI can generate options. Taste decides what survives. Let's now compare the two versions directly.
Come dreams in my head, a circuit board for a bed. My love light flickers red. Never understood a word you said. I slept beneath the cellar hum. Your last words caught behind my teeth. The bedside clock kept proving time, while nothing underneath. They breathed. I replayed the night in fragments. You coat the lift, the closing doors. I found no fault within the system that frightened me a little more.
In the first verse, Suno was given the subject and asked to write the song. In the second, the perspective, imagery, rhythm, and language were deliberately written before the platform became involved in the production. The difference isn't simply whether one lyric is technically better. The difference is whether the words come from a specific human point of view.
Binary code, my only friend. A digital love that will never end. I know the code for stay and leave. I still don't know what either means.
The pre-chorus also reveals the difference between allowing the arrangement to develop automatically and directing the purpose of the section. In the HOV Studios version, the pre-chorus has been instructed to increase pressure without releasing the full emotional weight too early.
Oh, plastic heart, tear me apart. A brand new start, a work of art. Plastic heart, do what you were made to do. Keep perfect time, pretend the pulse is true. You open me up, part by part, expecting blood beneath the dark, but found one red light spelling your name inside a plastic heart.
The chorus is where the complete process becomes most apparent. The lyric has been written to deliver a specific emotional payoff. The vocalist has been directed to expand without abandoning the established identity. The instrumentation has been told to become wider and heavier in a controlled way. The section is not simply labeled chorus, it's been given a job. The difference between these versions isn't that one uses AI and the other does not. Both use AI-assisted music production. The difference is where the creative responsibility sits. In the first version, I delegated most of the authorship and production decisions to the platform. In the second, I wrote the lyric, shaped the musical direction, designed the performer, directed the sections, evaluated the generations, and selected the result. AI can generate material. The artist still has to decide what deserves to exist. That, to me, is the responsible and creatively meaningful way to use artificial intelligence in music production. The technology should extend human intention. It shouldn't become an excuse to avoid having any. This kind of detailed analysis is also one of the reasons I created the HOV Studios Song Snapshot. The Song Snapshot allows writers to submit a song, lyric, or concept and receive structured feedback on what's working, what may be weakening the piece, and where the idea could be developed further. Not everybody needs a complete production service. Sometimes a writer needs an honest outside assessment before deciding what to do next. The snapshot is designed to provide that first layer of direction. HOV Studios also offers paid creative services for people who want more detailed support. These services include areas such as lyric assessment, lyric development, song concept development, creative direction, and AI-assisted music production guidance. The purpose is not to take authorship away from the writer. It's to help the writer strengthen the work while remaining the creator of it. That's an important principle throughout HOV Studios. The goal isn't to manufacture generic content as quickly as possible. The goal is to help original ideas become stronger, clearer, and more deliberately produced. The same core process demonstrated in this video is used to create the music performed by Damon Vale. The album The Things I Didn't Say was developed from original human-written lyrics, custom music direction, designed vocal characteristics, section-specific cues, repeated generation, critical selection, and further production work. It's a complete example of what can happen when AI is used as part of a human-led creative process, rather than as a substitute for one. The upcoming album, Caught in Memories, continues that process. It develops the sound further while exploring memory, absence, anger, emotional damage, and the way the past continues to occupy the present. These albums aren't separate from the HOV Studios method. They're the evidence of it. They show what the process can produce beyond a short demonstration created for a video. Suno is capable of creating a song from very little information. That accessibility is one of the reasons it's become so popular. But the fewer creative decisions you make, the more creative decisions you hand over. There's nothing inherently wrong with experimenting, generating something for entertainment, or using the platform casually. But when the work's presented as serious original music, I believe the human creator should be able to identify what they actually brought to it. The lyrics, the perspective, the production direction, the performer identity, the structure, the emotional decisions, the selection, the judgment, the reason the song exists. The HOV Studios method is about taking responsibility for those decisions. It means using AI without surrendering authorship. It means treating the technology as a production partner rather than an automatic replacement for the writer, musician, producer, or artist. And for lyricists, it represents something especially important. For the first time, many writers who've never had access to artists, studios, musicians, or producers can begin demonstrating what their songs might sound like beyond the page. That's not a small opportunity, but we should use that opportunity to raise the value of strong human writing, not bury it beneath an endless stream of thoughtless generation. The technology is capable of producing sound. It's still our responsibility to give that sound meaning. 80% song, 20% direction, 100% creative responsibility. You can learn more about HOV Studios, submit a song snapshot, explore the available creative services, and listen to music created through this process at hovstudios.com. You can also listen to The Things I Didn't Say by Damon Vale and follow the upcoming release of Caught in Memories. All relevant links are included in the description. AI can make a song quickly. Creating one deliberately is another matter.
Slept beneath the sun. Your last words caught behind my teeth. The bedside clock kept proving time, while nothing underneath. They breathed. I replayed the night in fragments. You coat the lift, the closing doors. I found no fault within the system that frightened me a little more. I know the code for stay and leave. I still don't know what either means. Plastic heart, do what you were made to do. Keep perfect time, pretend the pulse is true. You open me up part by inside a plastic heart.